Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here at Painted Studio in beautiful Brookfield, Illinois. We are 2 days from Halloween. Oh my gosh, October just zipped by. So today we did a live earlier on the page for Renee Holder to Chatty Chicks and Teaching Eclectic Creations. Hey Mary, nice to see you here. So unfortunately, Renee is not feeling well, so some of us who know her, we're kind of going over to her page, doing a live from time to time. So if you're a fan here, I ask that you kind of peek over and watch over there for her, or for the rest of us who are teaching or doing demos and doing lives on her page while she's recovering. Excuse me, I have allergies today. I need a drink of water. That's better. Hey Kay, hey Rachel, nice to see you both here. So like I said, keep an eye out. If you're not a fan of Two Chatty Chicks and Teaching Eclectic Creations, please go check out the page. Renee is wonderful. She does really fun, pretty stuff, and she's created several of our stencils that we carry here, including the elephant head, the dragonfly, and I think she created another one. Of course, it's going right out of my head which ones she's created. So I do have several of hers in stock. And I'm just looking over to see if I can remember which ones. Oh yes, the bull head. We have the bull's head. So she's created some really fun stencils. Definitely take a look at them, go check them out, and say a prayer and keep going, peek over at our friend Renee's page. All right, so where we're going today, I'm doing different projects on her page than I'm doing here. So you're not missing anything from there that we're doing here tonight that I have to catch you up on. All right, so the other day we were making these cups. Now, if you remember when I made this one, I couldn't get my Noel to stick, and then I had a Christmas tree on it. Well, when I started using the torch on the Christmas tree, which wasn't sticking real happily to the surface anyway, it kind of curled up and then I ended up burning it. So I pulled it off in the middle of the curing and I've got to sand it down now, and we're going to redo the lettering and the tree on this. And trust me, I'm not kidding when I said I ripped it off mid-cure. You can see that rough spot there. I'm going to sand that a little bit, which I have sandpaper right in front of me. I thought I'd left it somewhere else because I'm that kind of a smart person today. And we're gonna flip this down. Oh, Teresa, I'm doing well. Obviously, I'm back from having the shots in my spine. They were really not, it was not a big deal other than the fact that I felt like somebody kind of punched me in 2 spots on my back yesterday, and I'm a little sore today, but I'm okay. It's not a big deal. It was much less of a deal than I was concerned it would be because I've never had it done under local. And quite frankly, the local was faster and easier than having them do it with knocking me out. All right, so yes, the mica flakes and the clear glitter really do look like ice on there. This kind of has this sort of frosted cranberry look, like if you dip your fruit in sugar and set it on the table for decorations. And I think to do that, it's fruit or vegetables, egg whites, and granulated sugar. Don't ask me how I know these things. Stuff stays in my head. Things that I'd like to forget. So as you can see, I'm sanding this. So what I'm doing, I'll be putting another layer of epoxy on and stuff, but I've got to sand down all the little rough spots that I created by screwing around with it for so long yesterday. And what'll happen, this will all disappear with the second epoxy pour. You won't even see a scuff or a scratch. The epoxy will go in here, it'll blend and make it disappear. Now I've sanded that. Sorry, I gotta reach. My arms are short. So I'm gonna kind of go over this a little bit. I just want to check a few spots. I knew there were some really rough spots, like right here, which is where I pulled the tree off. So I want to see if I can sand that down just a little more. Looks a little scary when I start doing that and turning it white, like I'll never make it right again. And I want to get all of that I mean, I really, this one really challenged me yesterday. I didn't want to do anything. So I don't mind that I've got to come back and clean it up. I knew that was coming. Now, I could do this sanding with a Dremel, but the Dremel gets too aggressive and a hand sander gets too aggressive. This is why I'm using it, just sanding it with my, with a piece of sandpaper in my hand. I don't want it to accidentally break through the epoxy and then end up scuffing up the foil underneath. All right, so I've done that, and I have a little pile of dust right here. I'm gonna clean that off to the side. And I have my alcohol. Now, I have denatured alcohol in here, but rubbing alcohol will work just as well. Wiping that down so I get all the dust and stuff off of there, and already, wiped down. It's dull looking right there, but it's already taken all that high sanded off white looking on there. I'm just wiping it down to get all the stuff off. And while that dries, I'm just gonna check and see if I need to sand or trim anything on this, because sometimes I get little tiny pieces, like right here, of glitter sticking up. So you kind of want to come through, clip down anything like that you see, just because it makes it not a smooth cup to the hand. Now, I don't mind some textures, but other people really, really don't like them. So this is what I do. I trim my tinsel glitter down so that there's nothing sticking up around these edges. And then I kind of go back up over the surface and look for where I missed them up higher. These scissors are a little thick. I need a thinner one. Can I have a thinner one? There we are. Sometimes I have all these different scissors, and sometimes the scissors are just too thick themselves in the blade, so I need to go back and get a thinner bladed scissor. Okay. I don't see anything else. Yeah, right there. There's a little right there. I got all excited. I thought I had them all done. And then I found a couple. And really, that's all I was doing, is just trimming it that way. And then I'm going to take a light sand, because I do want a second coat on here, because I've created some texture with that glitter. And I just want it a little smoother. And all I'm doing is a light sanding so that the epoxy has a little tooth from the first layer to grab the second layer. And wiping it down, getting all the crud off of it, setting it aside. Okay, this one came out gorgeous. Okay, here is our Celebrate cup. Look at all those different glitters in there, along with the gold and black foils, and our Celebrate words and champagne glasses. Now again, I do want to put a second coat on here. So I'm going to take this, light sanding, and quick spritz. I thought my paper towel might have been damp enough, but alcohol evaporates very quickly. So I've done 3 cups. Clean them off, light sanding. We're going to reapply the letters on one. We might add a little more lettering on here, because this says Winter Joy on this side with a couple of Christmas, with a couple of snowflakes. I wasn't happy with my snowflake placement, because it kind of grabbed the surface. So the snowflake here is grabbed right onto the Y of the joy, and the other one's over here. So I cut out an entire word of Winter Joy so I can add my snowflakes to the one place. And then I'll just take this extra word winter and put it on the back, and we'll seal it up and it'll be good to go. Alrighty, so let's start with that one since I had it in my hand. And you can see I cut it out, I put it on mounting tape, and yes, I was, once again, because I am that smart, using stencil adhesive to try to use it as transfer tape. I did find the transfer tape, and you'll all be proud to know that I actually labeled the rolls, so it's correct. I grabbed the correct one now. All right, so I'm just going to scrub this a little bit with my fingernail to make sure it sticks to the transfer tape now that I finally have the correct one. And of course, this doesn't want to let go easily, so I'm going to need to use my little picker. I probably don't really even need transfer tape with this because it's so small, but it's good practice to use the transfer tape. So I'm going to do that. It's transferred. And then this will be covered in epoxy, so we won't have any issues there. And then we're going to take this other little one, cut it down small. And let's see, how are we going to peel off on here? It might be a little, yeah. These little ones, the little things really don't like to easily stay to the transfer film. They want to stick on their backing really, really aggressively. Okay, so I've got that on there. So now I've got my 2 snowflakes on one side to balance that out correctly. And I'm going to take my winter, where's my burnisher? Sorry, everybody, I got to reach across and grab. All right, let's see if I can get this to transfer without too much drama. Oh, this one's to be challenging today. I got part of that done on that side, and I'm starting to tear into the paper, so we have fruit flies here, and I can't figure out where they're coming from. It's like 3 of them that just constantly come and dive bomb my head. Considering I don't keep food open here, I don't know why. All right, there we go. We got that laying down correctly. Come on, stay. Come on, you're almost done. Let go, I said. Oh, come on. We need your little eye dot. I don't think we're gonna get the dotted eye. I think that's gonna, there we go. So I've got the word winter. And you see how that little eye, the dot over the eye, is white? It's because the backing peeled off and adhered part of it to the transfer vinyl, to the vinyl. And so I just have to take it off and throw it away because I am not going to spend hours fussing around trying to figure out how to peel the backing off on the eye dot. If I want a dot on my eye there, I can glue a gem. I can take some adhesive and put a big one on there and fill it up with foil. I could do a lot of stuff. I'm not going to sweat it. Okay, so I've got my winter on this side. Let's get it adhered well to the surface of the cup. There we go. So that's on there. So we have winter joy on one side with Christmas flake or snowflakes, and we just simply have winter on the other, which I think is really nice. I like the way that came out. And now we also have to do the tree, the Noel cup that I nearly permanently screwed up, but managed to save. Okay, so first here is our tree. I cut it out of a different vinyl because one of the things I've figured is that the stiffer glitter vinyl does not at all like to bend around odd angles like we have at the bottom of the cup here. And it did not want to stay adhered no matter what I did, and which is why it delaminated in the middle of the epoxy process. Now this is a different vinyl. It's a little more flexible. It should grab a little better. I shouldn't have the same problem with it. Okay, let me pull this back. Now I've got a little puckering down here, so I've got to massage that out. And this vinyl just happens to be a little more flexible, so it should hold up under the epoxying better. We're going to find out. See, the glitter vinyl, it's the same stuff I used here, but as long as I'm keeping it on the smooth surface and not trying to bend it over that curve, it's fine. It just doesn't like it if it's a little long and has to bend over a curved spot. You know, you can avoid it by doing several things. One is not choosing to use it on a challenging surface. Of course, that's me, so I have to pick the hardest thing to go on the most challenging surface. I've never, ever once figured out a way to make my own life easier. And for those who might have caught me earlier on the live I did on Renee's Two Chatty Chicks page, I actually got caught by surprise. I was working on something and happened to grab some tool that I was using that was mixed up with some stuff that was from my mother's wallet, and it totally caught me off guard. Now my mother's been gone for, I don't know, for almost 5 years now, and it's amazing. And my mother was a challenging person. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. But I still miss her. We still could have a lot of fun together. And having that come up and just totally caught me off guard. It was both a joy and a challenge because it was while I was doing a live. So I was trying not to burst into tears. All right, I'm trying to place this because I need to know where my Noel needs to go so that it'll read well, but I also can't have it getting into any of these lower drippy parts of where I put the glitter and stuff because it won't sit well there. So I'm just going to put it right next to it, and if it's a little off center, well, that's my fault. Because dead center would have my, well, actually dead center, let me get it, there we go. Geez, I'm not very bright sometimes. It's going to be a little off center simply because the end, I don't want it curling up into where the mica and the glitter is. But yeah, I got it on there. Hopefully it'll stay better than it did the other day when you all watched me do it and the lettering just peeled right back off and I could not get it to stick on here to save myself. All right, there we got our Noel. Make sure everything's burnished down. And this burnishing is important because if you don't have it pressed well to the surface, when you pour the epoxy on, the epoxy will come under all this and lift it up. Now there was one last little thing to go with our Noel, or just a little leaf flourish that goes under the word. Just gonna trim off all this extra stuff. peel it back and see how much I have to work to get this one to stick. Yep, there we go. Backing wants to stay to the backing paper, not onto the transfer film. Why do these have to be so challenging? Why can't they just peel off the way I want them to? I know, I'm so put upon. Okay, there we go. Now I have to take a look and see which way I want it to go. I think that's it. I kind of had it in my head earlier, but that doesn't mean I got it 100%. Are. Let's burnish that down. I'm going to pull the backing tape off. And again, I have a little spot that I have to massage the bubble out of. If I don't get those bubbles out, the epoxy will lift it all up. Okay, so we are all ready. We're going to put all of these back on their turners. Where do I get the cup rotators? Desiree, I get them on Amazon. They're cheaper and more reliable. Michaels has one of the ones I use, and it's my least favorite cup turner. I find it incredibly inefficient. And it was stupidly expensive, and somehow they had it cheaper online, and that's the only reason I own it, is because they were selling it $79 in the store, $19 online. I said, all right. It was the first cup turner I ever bought, and clearly I bought more since then. All right, so I'm gonna put the cups all on the cup turners. I'm gonna angle you over here so you can see me doing at least 2 out of the 3. Again, shove that foam, if you've got a foam one, all the way into the cup. So you might look in here and see I have a little bit stuck in there. That'll come out easily, but if you get a big chunk in there that gets stuck on, with the extra resin leaking into it, yeah, you're gonna need a Dremel to get it all done. Get it all out of there. All right, this is my cup turner. So this is the one that I bought. I'm gonna swing back over this way. This is the one that I bought at Michael's. It's called a Spin-It. It's not my favorite one for the reasons I've stated. I've stated this in the past. I don't think that these hold them as firmly. I don't think they're great for, great. God love my husband. He came in and helped me. I turn around and things are unplugged. So now I gotta plug them in. There we go. So I checked this one especially because it's really easy to get them on them unevenly, and if your turning is not consistent, you're going to have inconsistent results with the way the epoxy dries. Now I set a timer. I buy the basic lamp timers for your home. Set it for 8 to 10 hours. It has to keep turning, or if it stops mid drying, all of your epoxy just dribbles off right under here, and you have little spikes hanging. You can epoxy the cup to the base. I've done that. These are those ask me how I know, and I'll tell you what my mistakes are kind of conversations. Okay, so we're gonna move some sharp objects out of the way. We're gonna mix up some epoxy, and we're gonna finish up these cups. All right, now, I told you I had mixed up too much yesterday, so I'm going to try to mix a little less. And what I used, I actually took all my leftover epoxy from yesterday. I had made basically 8 ounces, and I only needed 4. So with the extra 4 ounces, I took all my pumpkins that I had foiled out of the window, poured all the glitter epoxy over, and then just let it dribble. Now, I got a little bit of a cool effect, not as much as if I had tinted it, but that's not a big deal. All right, I'm going to put on some gloves. Let me make sure I have mixing sticks because I have been moving stuff around here all day and I don't. Go. Mixing sticks. By the way, if you wonder where we get these are, they call them craft sticks, big ones or small ones. You get them at Michael's. You can buy them in a box of 1,000. They're super cheap. And I always have a box of big ones and a box of the regular popsicle size, the tongue depressor size and the popsicle size. They're very helpful to have in the studio. All right, let's get some gloves on and mix up some epoxy. So, as I've stated before, you need to mix equal parts. This is our Art Resin 2-part epoxy. This gallon I've had going for, I don't know, a year or so. And so sometimes it can look a little yellow in the container, but that doesn't matter because when you mix it up and pour it, it doesn't look yellow. The yellow disappears. Okay, and we're going to mix 2 exactly even amounts. We got, this is the hardener, and then we're going to pour the resin. And the reason you want exactly even amounts, and if you're not an eyeballer like I am, measure. Have measuring cups just for this. Have cups that you mark off so that everything's at an even level. When you pour your epoxy, when you put your jugs away, the jugs levels should be damn near dead even. Because if they're not, then you're over pouring one product and under pouring the other. And there we go. Good. I take a good look at those. Make sure they're good and level. I might need a drop more hardener. I need a couple drops of hardener. We go. So if you get, these have to be dead even for a reason. If you have too much hardener and not enough resin, when you mix it up, your resin will harden in the hardener and all of a sudden you'll have this big wadded up glob in there. And even if that doesn't happen, once you start using it and pouring it, it dries too fast and then it becomes very brittle. If you have too much of the resin and not enough hardener, your epoxy will never cure correctly. You could have soft spots, gooey spots, and failure to bond. There's a whole lot of messiness. Quite frankly, I'd rather have too much hardener than resin, but either way, it makes a mess that you have to clean up. And you scrape every bit out when you mix them together from one cup to another. You don't want to lose any of the product. You can avoid it. And don't ever mix up more than you need. It's not like this stuff you can put it away and put a plastic lid on it and it'll be good in a couple days. It'll be hard. That's what this does. It's a chemical reaction that hardens it, not air. So you need to make sure that you're only mixing what you need and don't plan to use it again. Also, if you mix this in big containers, mix them in big low containers because A, they get very hot. It gets very, very hot when you mix it in big batches. And B, because it does get hot like that, if it's in a tall, narrow container like that, in a big container like a gallon can, it'll start to harden faster. If you want it to last longer, you pour it in a long, low container, and that helps actually keep it liquid longer. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that's actually how it works. It needs a little bit of exposure to air. Now you might see things flying off. Those are bubbles. That means I'm about properly mixed. Don't inhale those bubbles though, but these bubbles are epoxy. They're not gonna taste good and they're gonna feel a lot worse. All right, so we're gonna take our cup. I'm gonna pour a little of this mixture in this cup. I'm gonna pour a little bit in another cup. This is all I should need for 3 cups. I'm going to take the wonderful, gorgeous bronze gold black tiger eye glitter that we used on this yesterday. I'm probably gonna mix a little more in here just because it's so festive and celebratory. I wanna make sure it really stays looking that way. And of course, with my gloves on, I can't easily open this thing, so I'm gonna have to use a tool. My fingers are gooey on this and it's not helping me, so I'm gonna have to take this off for a sec. And of course now my fingers are gonna be goopy from handling this. Put a little in there. And again, this is cosmetic grade glitter, so you're gonna see rounded spheres more than any other shape. And you're gonna see a whole lot of different sizes in those shapes. And yes, that's the price on it. They're $4.50 for one of these little bags. And the reason the price is there and I was showing it to you is because I was too lazy to pull the price tag off. Normally I don't flash price tags on the screen. It's annoying. All right, so I've got my glitter mixed nicely into my epoxy. I'm going to take this and just turn it on. And where did I put my brush? Because I'm a genius that way. Here we go. Now I know I'm doing these backwards. Normally I would go from the clear glitter to a lighter colored, clear to lighter colored glitter to the dark, but this is how I grabbed it today, so we're gonna have to work with it. And again, I like to have this on a low speed so I can pour some on and then just sort of smush it around with a sponge brush. All right. So even though our town is not doing the standard monsters on Main Street that we've done every year for 20 years here, thanks to COVID restrictions, we are able to just stick a little basket of candy outside our door, which obviously I'm gonna have a basket of candy. Anybody who knows me knows I love kids trick-or-treating. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. I loved it as a kid and I love being the adult to give out the stuff now. It's like my happy thing. So we all, well, we can't do it quite the same way. We're making sure kids are getting candy this year. Obviously with the cups, I might be drinking. All right, so I'm gonna take that. And as you saw, it just sort of slid under there, scooped that epoxy off there because I had a whole bunch of it that dropped off. And I'm making sure to manipulate it everywhere. Epoxy gets intimidating to people. It's not intimidating, it's just freaking messy. That's the biggest part of it. It's messy and it's slow to dry. So you have to understand how to work with it, but it's just another tool in your artist's bag of tricks. All right, so I've got all this on, and now what? Crud, I got epoxy on my scraper thing. That's not what I meant to do. Oh well, that'll dry out. I'll figure it out later. I told you, there's a reason I generally introduce myself as the messy mess maker, because I make messes. Okay, so the other day you saw me with my big blowtorch This one actually had just been out of fuel. This is a little creme brulee torch. I can get it at Home Depot, but if you don't have a Home Depot and have restaurant supplies, they probably have this too, because this is what they use in restaurants to brulee or broil the sugar on top of creme brulee and stuff like that, or toast the egg whites on baked Alaska and all fun stuff like that. So this liquefies it and raises all the bubbles to the surface. And then this just has to stay turning for that entire period. Otherwise, everything settles in one spot and it's a mess. So I'm gonna move this back to the back. And we're gonna shift another cup here. Alrighty, so this one is our snowflake cup. And this is the one that had the clearest epoxy on it. I didn't put any glitter in it. I didn't put anything else in there. So I'm gonna try to take some of this glitter off of here, which should generally works all right. I get most of it off. If you're really worried about it, get a new brush. Clearly that's not a huge concern of mine. And I'm gonna turn this on. And again, I make sure it's turning towards me. I want to make sure that the sponge is well shoved in there. And then we're going to pour. I sort of use the first pouring pass to kind of manipulate some of this around. Now this is still going to end up being a little lumpy up by the lip. That's all right, because these cups have lids to sip out of. You're not always meant to sip right out of the cup without the lid on, but this will also be food safe because our epoxy is indeed food safe. This is just a little bit of a rough lip to try to drink from. So what I'm doing here is making sure that everything is covered so that there will be no weird frosty bits showing up later because I missed a spot. I'm just going to use everything that's left in this cup, and whatever runs off, runs off. I am trying to avoid having it get on the bottom. Normally, I actually go and encourage the bottom to be covered, but because it's got this stopper stuff on the bottom, I don't want to ruin that. I could have taped it off. I'm comfortable with the way I brush things. That'll be okay. Okay, let's do a little torching. And again, I'm making sure not to torch into the surface. I want to raise the bubbles, not burn the surface. This is going to have a nice little extra dimensional look since we put our tree and Noel on over one layer and under the second. So we'll have a little bit of extra depth on that. So that'll be really pretty. Okay, so that's going to the side. Whoops, throwing things everywhere. And here's our third cup. Pick up my torch off the floor. And here's my epoxy. And we obviously had tinsel glitter in our last one, so we're going to put a little more tinsel glitter in this one. And again, this tinsel glitter, which I love so much, is something we carry, so you can check for it at paintedstudio.com. Now, I'm not overloading it with glitter so that I don't have all my letters disappear. This is a very subtle cup as it is, so it's not going to be easy to see all the lettering, and I don't want to destroy it by completely burying all the lettering with too much glitter. Okay. I'm just maneuvering the the epoxy around for this. What I'm basically doing is creating a little bit of a slip coat by putting that thin layer on, and then it makes it much easier to apply more liquid epoxy. And again, I'm not worried that stuff is spilling off the sides. It's supposed to do that. This is going to be so pretty when it's done. I'm very happy with these. These are making my holiday season. Okay, like I said, I'm just pouring the rest on so I use it up. Get the glitter rotating around on it. And let's hope the power doesn't go out tonight. God, I have actually had that happen. I have had we've had a power loss one night. We had a storm happening while I had cups on the rotators. I came in the next morning and all but one were fine, but the one, oh God, it was so bad. It had like just icicles of epoxy and glitter hanging off of it. It was so sad. Okay, let me make sure I get the edge right there. Nope, don't go do that. There's a lot of epoxy on my brush. Now it's trying to deposit in strange places. Okay, that's a very epoxied brush. All right, let's torch it. Again, over the surface, not into the surface. Keep it moving, even with the turner. Even though the turner's moving, you still need to keep the torch moving because the turner doesn't move fast enough to keep you from scorching your surface if you don't move your torch. All right, so now we have 3 of these going. Tomorrow morning we'll come back. They'll all be done. I'm actually very excited by that because I was so frustrated with my Noel cup and the way it came out. So I'm gonna move everything a little bit, take off my gloves, flip the camera up once the gloves are off, because if I do it while they're down, I'll put epoxy on my camera. Alrighty, let me see if I need to answer any questions. Let's see. Hey, Eva and Barb, nice to see you. Desiree, yes, you got your turner on Amazon. That's the place I recommend. I'm sorry for the wiggles. We all know my stupid tripod. I have been looking for weeks and I'm not doing very well with it. Luann and Renee, thank you for coming in. And Melina, oh gosh, all of you have come in. And Minetta, thank you for the sprinkles, sweetie. All right, the one thing we still have to go over is our contest. And that's why I need the camera to stay steady. So it's gonna keep dropping until I get it right. Let's see if it'll stay there. Okay, let's cover the contest. Our contest is a pumpkin kit. It is a large paper mache pumpkin with leaves. It includes 4 ounces of our Artsyville foil adhesive. It includes a base paint and several feet of foil and some glitter. Okay, the value on that is gonna run about $45. I haven't sat down and crunched the numbers like I normally do. And what you have to do is go to Tuesday's Cups and Contest live video. It is posted here to our page. You need to go on there and post either a Halloween or an autumnal project. Only one entry per person. If you've won in the past, if you won the past contest, you're not eligible for the current contest. So please come in, you go over to Tuesday's video that says Cups and Contest. Enter a picture of whatever your favorite fall project was. It doesn't have to be foils. It could be a painting, it could be a sculpture. It just has to be a photograph, but it has to be something you did. You cannot enter somebody else's work. Then post it only one time, and we're going to have our committee choose 4 of the top winners, our top choices, and then live here next Wednesday, we will do the drawing to see who the winner is. Now you gotta post. We only have 1 entry so far, and if we only have 1 entry, that's not a contest. So please post a picture of your favorite autumnal or Halloween project that you created on Tuesday's live that says Cups and Contest. Only 1 entry per person, and the prize is a pumpkin kit. And that's still seasonal because, you know, we still got a lot of fall before we hit Christmas. Even though I'm working on Christmas projects here, you still have Halloween and Thanksgiving coming in your regular everyday life. So enjoy the contest. Go back, post a picture of your project. 1 entry per person. We're going to decide the top 4 on Tuesday. The contest ends on Tuesday. So you have to have your entries in by like 2 o'clock, because then I got to bring it back to my committee and we have to make some decisions. But if you don't enter, you don't win. And everybody who's ever entered my contest knows that I give away good prizes. This is not something pretend. So there's no purchase, no nothing. The other thing I want to ask everybody to take a minute to do is to, if you're not following me on Instagram, we are Painted Studio on Instagram. So I'd love to have a few more followers over there. And also, if you're looking for some of our videos and can't find them, do you know we have a YouTube channel? Painted Studio has a YouTube channel, and we post all our lives there, plus exclusive YouTube content. So don't miss us on the various social medias. There's lots of fun ways to find out what we're doing. Again, contest ends Tuesday. I'm going to keep saying this. Enter, 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 enter. If you don't enter, you don't get a chance to win. All right, everybody, have a great night. I will post pictures of the cups when they're completed tomorrow. They are looking so good on the turners. I cannot, as pretty as they were when I showed them to you, they're even better in person. All right, everyone, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.